Of course, when you look at his team, you obviously look at John Morant first. He's finally starting to become a superstar. I'm going to give him that superstar nod. I don't give that nod to a lot of players, but I will give him that superstar nod. He is starting to become one of the faces of the league, one of the best young stars of the league. He's putting his team, and not only his team, but the city that drafted him, he's putting them all on the map. And he's having a really good season this year. He's going to make his first All-Star game. With Donovan Mitchell kind of fading away and with the Jazz kind of fading away, I believe he's going to start because the All-Star game is in like a month. They are on this stretch. I think they announced the starters in a couple weeks. So I believe he's going to start. And he's been having a really good season. I think he's first in the most improved player race. He's averaging 24, 5, and 7 points. I round that 7 up because he was at 6.7, so I rounded up 7. And he's been completely dominant for this team. I know he went out with that whole stretch where the team was 10-2 when he was out. But when he came back, they started off a little slow, but when he came back, they went on this 10-game stretch that they're on right now. He's been one of the main parts of the reason why they're doing this. His leadership is one thing that stands out to me. I see his leadership a lot, especially yesterday. Zion Williams was having a good game, a good couple of stretches, and John Morant kind of rewarded him a lot yesterday, especially yesterday with those 2 lob passes that he threw off to him. And he kind of executed with those lob passes and dunked the ball. And that's just showing a little bit of his trust in his teammates. And you can see that his teammates love him. The whole city loves him. Memphis is always turned out. I've never seen so many fans in the stands in the Memphis game since the grit and grind era. So shout out to John Morant. I definitely think he deserved to be a starter in the All-Star game. But I want to make this video less about John Morant and more about their depth. The one thing that stands out with this team is their depth. They had a time where John Morant missed some games. He had an injury earlier on in the season, and he missed 12 games. In those 12 games, the Memphis Grizzlies, they went 10-2. Completely dominated around that time too. Yes, they were playing some lackadaisical teams like the Rockets and like the Magic and stuff. But a win is a win, especially in the NBA. The NBA gets harder. It's more talent than it's ever been. And a win is a win. And they went 10-2 in that stretch. And they completely picked it up as soon as Ja came back. They lost a couple games when Ja came back. But right after that, they went into that 10-game stretch that they're on right now. And it's all about depth with this team. They are a team that has quality players that deserve minutes 1 through 12. They have 12 players that deserve minutes. And it's kind of hard to fluctuate those minutes sometimes. You can see Taylor Jenkins, he has his core that he likes to play with and his rotations that he likes to play with. He doesn't really switch his rotations a lot. But they have a lot of quality players that deserve minutes. When you look at a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr., Jaren Jackson Jr. is not that second star that you would want to put next to Ja. But Jaren Jackson Jr. is having a really good season, and he's the player that you will want around Ja. Jaren Jackson Jr., for his first few years, the one stigma that he had with him is he can't play the 5. He's a 6'11" forward that cannot play the 5. And they said that because he was kind of small. He didn't have that much muscle. He was kind of soft. He couldn't really bang with other big men like that. And he get in foul trouble a lot, and he can't rebound. He still can't. He averages 5 rebounds a season. But the one thing about Jaren Jackson Jr. is he's really gifted on the other side of the ball. A really, really good shooter. Even though the shooting form looks terrible, a really, really good shooter. Really good at attacking the rim when he does. He doesn't do it a lot, which is kind of crazy to me. Because when he do it, he's really good at finishing around the rim. That's another player that you got next to Ja that it fits perfectly. Desmond Bane. Everybody, Desmond Bane was a 30th overall pick last year. I don't even think I can name you 10 players better than Desmond Bane in the 2021 draft. I can't. Desmond Bane deserved to be a lottery pick last year. For him to be a 30th overall pick when you knew coming out of TCU, Desmond Bane was a shooter and a defender. It was some teams that were ready to win last year in the lottery that needed a shooter and a defender. And Desmond Bane was right there, but he fell to a 30th overall pick. Last year, he did what he was supposed to do coming out of college. Shot the ball and played really good defense. And he helped the team out. And then this year, they traded Jonas Valanciunas and gave all of Jonas Valanciunas shots to Desmond Bane. And look what he's doing this year. Averaging 17 points. Shooting 46% from the field, 42 from the 3. As consistent as it gets. And he is a really good running mate that right next to Ja. A guy that doesn't really need the ball, plays off the ball as well as he plays on the ball, can get his shot when he needs to. But when he's off the ball, with Ja's passing ability, he's ready at all times. Yesterday, he had a really clutch three for them in the transition. And guess who gave him the ball? Ja fucking Morant. And he looks like the right two to put next to Ja. Those two and that backcourt is going to take this team a long way. Then you got a guy like Zion Williams. I talked about him earlier. They took him at 10, I want to say. They took him at 10 last year. And everybody thought it was a stretch because Zion Williams, you seen the talent, but in college he had a bad college career. But you've seen the talent overall. And that's why they drafted him so high. And he's kind of showing it in these last stretches. They're on a 10-game win streak, as I said. And in this 10-game win streak, he's been averaging 11 points, shooting 54% from the field, 45 from the three. And he's also been playing some really, really good defense. Really good defense. He played some really good defense on Steph Curry last night. But you can see what they seen in him coming out of college. Coming out of college, he got that comparison to Paul George because he's a really gifted scorer. One thing I didn't think he had is an off-ball game. He's a really good shooter off-ball. And he has to play off-ball when you got a guy like Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bane, and Ja Morant who need the ball to be effective sometimes. You got a guy like him who could just sit in that corner or just wait for the three-point shot and he's going to hit it. A really good shooter. And then when it comes down to a shot clock where they can't really find a bucket, he gets you a bucket. He did that against us. They needed a clutch bucket. We was on their ass. It was 96-92. We was on their ass a couple days ago. And he hit a clutch bucket, made it 98-92. And you got him. Then you look at the lower guys. They're not really a part of the young core looking forward. But look at the guys like Dillon Brooks. A really good, gritty, small forward, 3-and-D wing, who also played the two. A really good shooter, a decent defender. I'm not a big fan of Dillon Brooks. I feel like he's one of those rich and new guys that talks a lot, but they're really not shit. But he's a good player. He's a good player because when Ja Morant was out, he was their main scorer, and he averaged 20 points in that time. And then in the playoffs, he even averaged 20-plus points. So I got to give him to him. He just gets under my skin. I'm not going to lie. Steven Adams, I thought he was done. He didn't do good with the Pelicans, and that's just because the Pelicans don't even know what they're doing. Didn't do good with the Pelicans, but he came with this team and just went back to what he was doing on the OKC Thunder. A really good rebounder, a really good, reliable pick-and-roll player, and a really good vet. And you can see his leadership throughout the team. D'Anthony Melton, another good 3-and-D wing who can shoot the ball. Brandon Clark, the best option to put next to Ja Morant as far as when he's on the pick and roll. One of the best lob threats we have in this league. Also a big man who can shoot. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a stretch big. A stretch big is like Kevin Love, who's a shooter. He can shoot. Brandon Clark can shoot. But I'd rather him go to the rim and try to catch the lob. And he's also a versatile defender who can guard and switch on to some guards and also guard some bigs without fouling. A really smart defender. And then you got this guy right here, Tyus Jones. I'm surprised he's still on this team because those times where they weren't like this nice, fun, exciting team, he's always been consistent as it gets. And I'm surprised somebody didn't try to trade for him to get a backup point guard coming off their bench while you're trying to win a championship. But he is, if not the best backup in the league, he's one of the best backups in this league. A really good, consistent player. He is clutch buckets. And I'm not talking about in the fourth quarter, like I told you earlier. It's a difference between just clutch in the last minute of the game. You can have clutch moments throughout the whole game. He hits clutch buckets throughout the whole game, and he kind of controls the team when Ja Morant goes on the bench. That's why I say he's one of the best backup point guards we have in this league. And then you probably wonder why they named guys like Kyle Anderson and Jared Culver, Xavier Tillman. And this is why. With them being so good right now, my thing is, should they speed it up? Should they speed this rebuild up? Should they try to make a trade to like be a solidified contender? Because a lot of people was asking the question last night: is this team a contender? I don't think so, but I definitely think they're one move away from being a contender. Where do they make that move? I'm gonna tell you where they can make it. Kyle Anderson, he's on a 1-year deal. I mean, he's not on a 1-year deal. He has 1 year left on his deal. Jared Culver is a young player. Even though you gave him a try, he's just not it. But he still has some potential. A team that wants potential, and you've seen what they did a couple of days ago, Detroit Pistons. They want potential. They just went and got Bobo. You trade Kyle Anderson. Jared Culver was making $6 million. Kyle Anderson is making $9 million. And you add that first round pick that they got from Utah Jazz, and go out there and get a guy like Jeremy Grant. I think that will put them as a contender in this league. There's always been a thing with this Memphis Grizzlies team that kind of put them on the map. What was it? Oh yeah, grit and grind. The fucking grit and grind system. And a player that embodies that whole thing is Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant coming into the league was just a dunker. Coming out of Syracuse was just a dunker. And he played with Russell Westbrook. Had to learn how to shoot. Had to learn how to play off ball. Turn into a shooter. Then he went and go play with Jokic. Jamal Murray missed part of that year. Michael Porter Jr. came off the bench that year. They needed somebody to step up his scoring. So he's bumped up his scoring a little bit, turning into a 3-and-D wing who can also shoot, play defense, but get his own. Then he's decided, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself. I need my money. I'm going to go over here and play for the Pistons. I'm going to lose a lot of games, but I'm going to show people that I am one of the best scorers in the league and one of the best stories in the league of how to come up. That is the embodiment of grit and grind. And now he's to a point where he's damn near an all-star. He's not going to get it, but he's damn near an all-star. And I feel like when you put him with this team, he already understands their system. He already knows what the fuck it is. And I don't know if I'm overrating Jeremy Grant, but I just feel like he fits so perfectly with this team. Doesn't need to have the ball at all times, but when he does have the ball, he's as effective as it gets. Can play off ball, can shoot off ball. A really good scorer, an all-star type talent, a really good defender, because they don't really have that wing that can go out there and guard the KDs, the Paul Georges, the Brons, even the Stephen Currys. They don't really have that. You can say it's Dylan Brooks. It's not, bro. I don't care what nobody said. It's not. Jeremy Grant is the type of guy that can go do that. You will have a lot of a John Morant. What's his name? Desmond Bane, Jeremy Grant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams. And then when you look at the bench, you still have your depth. And D'Anthony Melton, Brandon Clark, Tyus Jones, Xavier Tillman, Dylan Brooks. You don't even have to give up Dylan Brooks so he can slide into a 6-man role. That you still have your depth. John Conchar. Like, they still have their depth. That's not really losing that much. You lose Kyle Anderson. He helped the team a little bit, yes. But you're not really losing that much. That will put you into that contention for me because I just value Jeremy Grant a lot for this team. I feel like he will fit perfect next to Ja. And I don't know. I feel like they will be on some shit if they do that. So let me know how y'all feel about that. This is it for the rest of this video, man. I really enjoyed making this video. Really enjoyed writing the notes for this video. I'm trying something new. I'm trying to write a lot of notes and then break it down point by point by point. So let me know how I did. I'll talk to you later. Peace.